Hello, this is lesson 1, surface area and lateral and total. So for this lesson, we're going to be learning how to find the lateral and the total surface area for a prism and a cylinder. So we're going to start off with a rectangular prism. So there's a rectangular prism drawn out here. So let's say that the height is 8, the width is 4, and the length is 10. So for this, it's really easy. All you have to do is kind of draw out a triangle with the numbers, like that. So let me draw it closer. This should be the formation. Then you draw out a triangle like this. You can add arrows just so you know what I'm going to explain. So these arrows are representing what numbers need to be multiplied. So the arrows to 10 to 8 will be multiplied. So it's 10 times 8 times 2. So this is because when we already multiplied 10 times 8, we have to multiply that answer by 2, because here when we have the 10 times 8, which would be this part here. So let me highlight that for you. Okay, look. So that's the 10 and that's the 8. So that's the front, but you also have the back of that same exact shape with the same exact lengths. So you just multiply that answer by 2, since it's the exact same thing from the front and the back. And that goes for all the numbers that you're going to multiply in the triangle. So 10 times 8 times 2, which is 160. And the 8 times 4 times 2. Same thing, because the sides have another side, which is the same thing. So you just multiply by 2, which is 32 times 2, so 64. And you have the 10 times 4, so it's 4 to 10, which is 4 times 10. And that answer multiplied by 2. Same reason, there's a top and the bottom, so it's the same, which is 80. So you get all those totals, 160 plus 64 plus 80. You add all of those together, and I'm going to do this on a calculator. 160 plus 64 plus 80, and that should equal to 304. And that's how you find the total surface area for a rectangular prism. So the next up on our list is a triangular prism. So to do a triangular prism, it's really easy. There's 2 ways to do this. There's the shortcut, and there's a process that's a little longer, but it's easier to understand. So I'm going to just put the side lengths for each. So this is the height. This is one side of the triangle, which will be 5 on this side and 5 on this side. And the length for the base would be, let's do 6. And the height of the base will be 2. So there's a shortcut, as I said, and there's a longer shortcut, but I'm going to show you both. So let's start off with the longer shortcut. So you have to find the area of each rectangle or base, or each area of each shape. So for example, let's start with this shape. 5 times 10 that should be the area for this rectangle here. So 5 times 10. Oh, that's a really bad 10. 50. But we can multiply that by 2 since this side length here is the same as this one. If this side length would have been a different one, it wouldn't be the same thing by multiplying by 2. Like, for example, if this was 7, you would do 5 times 10, and then you would do another equation, which would be 7 times 10, because these aren't the same, so they wouldn't be the same length. But since I drew out the same length for both, it's alright, and we can do times 2 because they're the same length. So it would be the same on both sides. So it's 50 times 2, it's 100. And now that we have that, we have to find the next length of the bottom. So the bottom would be 6 times 10. So 6 times 10, and you don't multiply that by 2 because there's no other shape that's the same as that. There's no top to that. So it's just 6 times 10. So 6 times 10, that's 60. And now you have to find the base of the triangle. So the equation, the formula to find the base of a triangle is 1/2 times BH. But since there's 2 of the same triangle, and you're going to just divide that by 2 and multiply it by 2 again. So for example, it's the base, which would be 6, times the height, which would be 2. So it's the 6 times 2, which is 12, times 1/2, which is just 6 times 2 divided by 2. So that's 12 divided by 2, and that's 6. Instead of doing that and just multiplying by 2 again, since there's 2 of the same triangle, so instead of making it so hard and longer, multiplying by 2 again, just so you get the same answer, you can just skip that step and just do the base times the height. So it's the 6 times the 2. And again, I need to clarify this. We're doing this because there's 2 of the same bases, which is the triangle. So we don't need to divide by 2 and multiply by 2 because it's just doing the same thing to get the same answer. So you can just skip the step and not divide by 2. So 6 times 2 is 12. So now it's 12. 6 times 2 equals 12. And we add all of those up. 100 plus 60 plus 12. That's 172. And that is your total surface area. Now I'm going to show you the shortcut to this. So, the shortcut to this is you get the perimeter of the base, and the base in this case would be the triangle. So you get the 5 and the 5 and the 6, and you add those up. So 5 plus 5 plus 6, and that equals to 16. And you multiply the perimeter times the 10, which is always going to be the number perpendicular to the base. So let me write that down. you're going to always multiply the perimeter. Perimeter is always multiplied by the height, which is the side length perpendicular. Oh, I probably spelled that wrong, didn't I? I don't know how to spell perpendicular. Okay, perpendicular to the base, which in this case would be the triangle. So this is really important because you can't just multiply any number with the perimeter. It can't just be 16 times 5 or 16 times 6. It has to be the height of the triangular prism, or the side length perpendicular to the base, which is the height. Normally, I mean, I think always, but so in this case it would be 10 because it's perpendicular to the base and it's the height of the triangle. So you get the perimeter, so it's P times the height. So 16 times 10, which equals to 160. And now you have one part of it solved. So you have the first step, which is the pH, and now you need to find the base of the triangle. So basically, this is the formula that it gives you. But it is easier to do it this way. It's faster to do it this way, but it is a little bit more confusing to some people. So if this is too confusing for you, you can just do it the other way, which is the 5 times 10 times 2, since this is the same as this, and the base of the triangle. But if you want to do it faster, this is the fastest way, in my opinion. So the formula for this is pH times 2b plus 2b. So you have the 160, which is the pH, and the 2b is the base of the triangle times 2. But once again, we don't need to divide it, since you're just going to divide it by 2 and multiply it by 2. So you can just skip that step and just do 6 times 2, which is 12. So 160 plus 12, 172. And you still end up with the same answer as before. Now, the final one we have on our list is the cylinder. And this is the final one for total surface area. So this is a formula for the total surface area for a cylinder. So it's 2 pi times r times h plus 2 pi r squared. So depending on whatever is required, the pi can either be 3.14 or 3.1. It depends on whatever the number that is so-called pi is, depending on what you want. But normally it is just pi, just the pi symbol. So to do this, it's 2 times pi times r. So let me draw the r. Let's do the diameter here. So let's do 6, and the height, let's do 7.5. So the diameter is 6. That's the diameter. So we have to divide that by 2, which is 3. Okay, 3. And the height is 7.5. So we know that the radius is 3, so we can put that in there. And the height is 7.5. So now that we have that, you can go ahead and do that on your calculator. So it's 2 pi, and in this case I will do 3.14. So 2 times 3.14 times the radius, which is 3, times 7.5. And I got 141.3 for the first part here. So, okay, there you go. 141.3. So that is the first part. So now we can fill that in the equation. 141.3 plus 2 pi r squared. So now let's do the 2 pi r squared. So it's the same thing, 2 times pi and the radius 3 squared. So we know that, well, I'm using 3.14 as pi. So it's 2 times 3.14 times r, which is 3, squared. Oh, okay, that's a bad 2. Okay, there, squared. So in my calculator, I got 2 times 3.14 times 3 squared, and that should be 56.52. So now the final equation would be 141.3 plus 56.52. And when we add that together, it should equal 197.82. And that is the end for the total surface area. I will be coming out with the lateral surface area soon.